Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in today to the final installment of our Facebook Live English Language Learning Program. I know you've covered a lot of territory, from the various ways of saying hello and goodbye to sounding professional, to communicating on social media, among other relevant topics. And these are not just English language skills, these are life skills. And before I turn it over to Lilit Termenjyan, and Lilit, thank you for all your work on the program. Let me commend you all for your commitment to improving your English. And I can say, as somebody who's been a foreign language learner, I know how hard it is. It's really difficult to overstate how important English is in today's world. It's the language of business, technology, culture, education. It really is the closest thing we have to a global language. So knowing English enables you not just to directly communicate with other people speaking the language, but it creates opportunities for traveling, studying, and participating in international events, whether it's in person or virtually. It also makes you more competitive in the job market. And I can say this as an embassy that operates in the English language as its key language in addition to Armenian, that having that English language ability really enhances an applicant's competitiveness. Let me just say that overall I've been very impressed by the level of English in Armenia. And I know that there is a demand for more English language learning options. At the embassy, we manage a number of programs to meet this need. The English Access Program for high school students in rural communities, training programs for English teachers, exchange programs such as Flex or UGrad. These are just a few examples of programs by which we try to make English language learning accessible to everyone. And I encourage you to take advantage of these opportunities to learn more about them. And you can do that by visiting our website. Unfortunately, I won't be able to stay here for today's lesson. I am sure that I would learn a lot from Lilit. I think language learning is a lifelong process. But I know that you are in good hands with her. And so thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the lesson.
Thank you for inviting me as a teacher, Ambassador Tracy. That was my honor, and I enjoyed this process a lot. And I know that our Armenian audience is grateful to you for the support.
Great. Well, keep up the great work, and we'll look forward to continuing the partnership.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Şnorakalutyun.
So, if I may continue, though it's really responsible to speak after the ambassador. But as you know from our Monday video, so this week we're going to talk about mistakes that are typically Armenian, that is, Armenians make these mistakes when speaking English. And you may come up with a question of, are these mistakes common among Armenians specifically? And my answer will be yes, because every nation, every language is the immediate reflection of the people's mentality the language belongs to. And accordingly, when learning a new language, we sometimes subconsciously we apply the rules of our mother tongue to the target language, to the language that we are learning. And this is where we slip up. So today we will discuss some grammatical, lexical, as well as some phonetic mistakes that we Armenians make when learning English under the impression and under the rules of our majestic mother tongue. So one mistake that is typically Armenian is using the infinitive form after the verb of suggest. And by saying the infinitive, I mean the verb in its full version, like, for example, to go, or, for example, to start. And it is like in Armenian that is derbai, that is bai ch khonarված ch thekված ձևերը. And this in Armenian, so in English it's like I suggest to go there, which is a mistake, guys. And this mistake takes place because in Armenian the word of առաջարկել is followed by the infinitive form, that is ես առաջարկում եմ այցելել նրան. And if we go after the direct translation, we'll arrive at I suggest to visit him. But this is a mistake because the English says that the English language says that you need to go with a secondary statement, secondary sentence immediately after the verb of suggest. That is, I suggest we visit him. Or we can also go with a gerund version. I suggest visiting him. Or, for example, when the Armenian sentence of Ես առաջարկում եմ կինո գնալ is translated into English, so the direct version will not sound like I suggest to go to the movies. Instead, it would sound really English if you said I suggest we go to the movies, or I suggest we should go to the movies, or I suggest going to the movies. By the way, the verb suggest has another challenge, and that is we sometimes mix the meaning of the word suggest with that of, for example, offer and propose. And now let's see what is what here. So in case of suggest, we use it with ideas. When we suggest an idea. For example, we can say, I suggest we move on. I suggest we move on. You see, we have a secondary statement, okay? And moving on is just an idea. So I suggest we move on. Offer is used when we want to come up with real things. For example, I could offer my help. Or for example, I offered him my pen. Okay? So we use offer with real things. And as to the word of propose, we mostly propose serious things. For example, projects, or that can be marriage. For example, we can say, he proposed to her. He proposed to her. And this is translated like, okay, so he proposed to her. Another mistake that is, again, specifically Armenian, is the wrong production of the verb agree. So Armenians quite often say, I am agree. This is wrong. Why? Because agree, guys, agree is a verb. And it is so strong by itself that it doesn't need any auxiliary verbs or link verbs, okay? So the word agree is a full word. And you can say, I agree with you, for example. Yes, համաձայն եմ ձեզ հետ, right? And the misinterpretation of this very verb is because it is sometimes mixed with another verb, which is to be angry, okay? To be angry, which is translated like զայրացած լինել, okay? And they are sometimes mixed because they sound quite similar, but in fact they have quite different meaning, because one is a full verb, which is agree, and the other is an adjective plus a link verb. Yet another grammatical mistake that Armenians quite often make is using full infinitive, that is together with particle to, after the verb of make in the meaning of ստիպել. Now listen to the Armenian statement. Ես կստիպեմ, որ նա ավարտի աշխատանքը, կամ ես կստիպեմ նրան ավարտել աշխատանքը. If we go with the direct translation, we'll go with I will make him to finish. Guys, this is wrong, and this is an Armenian sentence expressed through English words. But the English says that you cannot use, infinitive with to after the verb of make in the sense of stipend. So I will make him finish the work. This is the correct version. The same goes with the verb of let. So, for example, we say, let me stay here. Թույլ տուր ինձ մնալ այստեղ, okay? Let me stay instead of saying let me to stay. And if you remember the famous song, so Paul McCartney never said let it to be. He said let it be, okay? There are specific concerns about the Armenian construction of ամեն անգամ երբ, the translation. So in Armenian, we can come up with an example like ամեն անգամ երբ ձեզ տեսնում եմ, երջանկանում եմ, or ամեն անգամ երբ ձեզ տեսնում եմ, ուրախանում եմ. So if we take the word for word translation, we'll come up with every time when I see you, I get happy. This is a mistake because the English language says that you cannot use when after the construction of every time. So when you have a sentence like ամեն անգամ երբ ձեզ տեսնում եմ, ես ուրախանում եմ, can be translated into English like every time I see you, I get happy. Lexical mistakes made under the influence of Armenian and English are not few either. And one of the brightest cases is closely connected with the Armenian meaning of ինչ վերաբերում եմ. Sometimes this expression is translated like what about. Guys, but what about is mostly a question. Like, for example, what about you? Իսկ դու ինչ կասես? When you want to say ինչ վերաբերում է, for example, ինչ վերաբերում է ինձ, for this very construction, we have three absolutely beautiful forms. We can say as to me, as to me. We can also say as for me, as for me. And the third one that I'm absolutely in love with is as far as I am concerned. As far as I am concerned. We should also remember that we can never use reflexive pronouns after the verb of feel. That is, for example, feel myself, feel yourself. This is also very widely spread. And this is a mistake that mostly comes from the influence of Russian, because in Russian there is an expression like чувствовать себя, and like, for example, я плохо себя чувствую, or я хорошо себя чувствую. And accordingly, sometimes we translate it into English like I feel myself well, or I feel myself good, right? Depending what you mean, your mood or your well-being. This is a mistake in Armenian, in English, in Armenian as well, because the literary Armenian language and the English one, they don't use any reflexive pronouns immediately after the verb of feel. If that were the case, famous James Brown would sing, I feel myself good. But instead he says, I feel good, right? If you remember. Okay, so pronunciation can also be sometimes challenging, but we Armenians are a bit lucky in this sense because Armenian sound system is so rich that it allows us and gives us opportunity to imitate nearly every single sound. Still, there are certain ones that are a bit challenging, and in that sense, I mean letter combination th, which is pronounced th or the. Well, during all my years of practice, I have come across quite different forms of the production of th or the. So I have heard the form of this, which is this, or that, which is that, or even thank you, instead of saying thank you. Guys, it's not very difficult to do it, and all you need is to bring the tip of the tongue in between your teeth, right, like this, and there you go, you get the sound. So it's not this, instead it is this. It's not that, instead it is that. Yeah, it's not that, it is that. It's not thank you, it is thank you. It's not theater, it is theater. Okay? I also want to come up with a couple of mistakes that are common not only among Armenians, but they are quite general. And I mean letter C. Okay, letter C can sometimes be challenging because some people don't know whether to pronounce it C or S in the sense of the sound, or to pronounce it K. Now I will give you the formula, and things will become really simple for you. So if letter C is followed by I, letter I, E, and Y, look, I, E, and Y, C is always pronounced C. Okay? So for example, the word of city. In all the other cases, it is pronounced K. The same concerns letter G. If letter G is followed by I, E, and Y, G is always pronounced J. In all the other cases, it is G. Now look here, we have two words. In this one, we have two letter C's. So in this case, it is pronounced S because it is followed by I, as I said. And in this case, it is pronounced K because it is followed by U, or any other letter could be here to be pronounced K. So this word is pronounced circus. Or for example, cycle. Look, it is followed by Y. Okay, that's why it is pronounced C. And in this case, it is followed by L, not L, because L is a letter, and I mean the sounds. Okay, that's why it is pronounced K. Or the word, for example, gigantic. In this case, it is J because it is followed by I. And in this case, it is pronounced G because the next letter is anything. In this case, that was A, but that can be absolutely anything. Okay. Yet another rule to memorize is the production of or the non-production of W when it is followed by letter R. So we don't pronounce the word as write. Okay, we go with write, and I mean writing. Okay, so the famous make of the car is not Wrangler, as some Armenians say, but it is Wrangler. Okay, Wrangler. CH letter combination can also be challenging, and sometimes this very letter combination is pronounced ch. At times it is pronounced sh, and sometimes it can also be pronounced k. Now this is a challenge, how to differentiate whether it is ch, sh, or k. The strategy is really simple. So if letter combination ch is pronounced ch, it means that's a word of English origin. If it is pronounced k, it is of Greek origin, but how to understand whether it is Greek or, for example, French. Mostly, the words where ch is pronounced k and that are of Greek origin, they are closely connected with science. For example, chemistry. Chemistry. And if ch combination is pronounced sh, so it means that these are French origin words, like for example, champagne, or for example, chandelier, which is ja, or the famous brand, Chanel. Okay, so these are French origin words. How to understand? Mostly these words are, glamorous, just like French are. Okay. And if you have questions, then I will be happy to answer them. Okay. So Anna Khanzatan says, please don't stop this kind of important lessons. You have done it in a very professional way. Well, thank you very much. And I want to ask you to come up in the comments field. I want you to come up with your ideas as to what else would you like to be discussed generally in the coming period, and that we will definitely try to cover everything. And Parkev Arakelan says, Իմ մայրը գցում է սեղանը ճաշի համար, ինչպես կթարգմանվի. You can say, my mom lays a table or sets table for dinner. I guess that would be the English translation. The topic of making of the Armenian mistakes in English is is absolutely endless, and we can go on talking about this for hours. But unfortunately, time is limited, and I have to wrap it up. And once again, a reminder that you can find all the classes in the video section of the U.S. Embassy Yerevan Facebook page. So if you missed any, you can always find them there. They will be there forever. And I want to extend our gratitude to absolutely all of you for your support, for your comments, for your kind words, and for following us. And I do hope that the lessons were productive to you and that you will go on learning English, because English gives you wings to fly. Stay tuned with the U.S. Embassy Yerevan Facebook page, and not only. The best of luck to you. Thank you.